Over the last few years, we've instigated, I won't even say attempted or tried or talked about, we instigated the idea of changing the way people will engage at street level. And with that, we said we will actually build the offering that inspires people to communicate differently. With that said, we have to recognize immediately that in every city, the heartbeat of that city are the people that live there. So with that said, and I should probably say for about 18 years, I spent a lot of time in government figuring that out, right? Because you have all types of technologies around you. But while everyone's selling a shiny box, the idea was, could we build something that could think and respond to people in an area that was very different than what we've seen in the past? We're not looking at lights or fiber. We're not looking underground or above us. We're actually focusing on where people actually engage. We're looking at creating the digital infrastructure that engages human beings. So we're going to take a step back and say, before we do anything, we want to ensure that it connects to you, that it feels and thinks and responds to you, that if you need something, it's relevant to where you're at right then and there. Hyper-local, geo-coordinated, it had to think like you a bit. And then, in fact, we could probably start to build a base that starts to ensure that new services, new technologies, the technologies we heard today had a core or a base to launch from. So if I could create dialogue with citizens at street level, which normally is a mayor's biggest challenge. Cities react to human occurrences. There's a shooting, police show up. There's a fire, an ambulance shows up. Fire truck shows up. If we could actually hear it, dispatch, turn on alerts, tell the bus to stop moving in that direction, brighten the light where it occurred, build predictive analytics that actually told police where to place policing more frequently based on real data, and told everyone on Wi-Fi where to stay away from, we start to think like you, we start to respond for you, and we also allow all of those features and benefits that I just talked about, the sensors, the cameras, the other partners in this room, we give them a base to launch from. And we retain the dialogue with the citizen. Why is it important? We all know that people expect to be connected. The Apple Watch, the iPhone, the thermostat, and the cars and the drones and everything we're talking about. In fact, if we don't see that it connects, we feel that there's less value attached to that product. By nature, my kids assume everything is connected. They don't know anything different. When my son was 3, he walked up to the TV and tried to swipe it. It's all he knows. He walks around with his headphones and his phone in his hand, and he's multitasking. He was born to multitask at this point. So we expect it. The introduction and acceptance of becoming smart and connected provides a base where devices, services, and data start to react to us. It's here. We're not hoping, we're not wishing, we're not waiting. It is here. The facts are there will be 24 billion IoT devices installed by 2020. I'm saying this because of the relevance of where we're at today, specifically civic, and the idea that if we create this base to connect services within very specific areas, and I'm going to get into those, we actually provide that core layer to be able to connect these services to build true efficiencies and sustainability. We recognize that $6 trillion invested on IoT solutions over the next 4.5 years. So it's only going to continue, and the increase is substantial. Looking at where we were in 2014 and where we will be at in 2019, again, it's accelerating at a very fast rate. With all of that said, why are we doing this? Why is Civic here? And I'm going to get into the product itself, the verticals, our position, and what we're going to continue to do. Population. Cities are growing at an extreme rate, and we have to change the way we connect to people. When we talk about smart cities, everybody has a different answer for that. In this case, I'm going to say, when we refer to a city, I'm referring to building a more intelligent group of assets in that city, infrastructure in that city. Not that the city is not intelligent, but the assets themselves need to change. Light poles were created to give light. And today they should be doing so much more. Buses should be connected to everything to ensure that if there are no seats on a bus and there are 10 people waiting at a bus stop in Chicago in the snow, that the bus should know that there are no seats and dispatch another bus. That's the idea, that we shouldn't have to watch these assets stay siloed or static. We have to ensure that they become intelligent. So I'll refer to being moving into or building smart cities. I'm referring to the assets and the infrastructure, not referring to the mayor or anyone else in that area. I'm referring to the assets and infrastructure. So we know population is moving fast. Two of the core areas that Civic has taken the time to really assess, understand, and transform has been transportation and safety. That's where also most of the funding and money is being spent when cities are moving into intelligent transformations. Those are two of the biggest spots. This is what it should look like. If I'm walking down the street, I should stay connected. I should be able to move into mobility and have every other asset around me connected to where I'm at and where I'm positioned. By connecting these devices and services, we start to respond to real city services and real issues. We start to be able to perform. And what is our response? How is our response measured? By people. If I improve the lives of the communities I'm in, if I can bring better safety services, higher measurements of people using transportation, I lower pollution, environment starts to get better, public transportation is used more frequently, we start to see real results. So success is measured exactly by resolving an issue. That has to occur. And that's what Civic has been focused on. We're building devices that connect to people and services to transform the way we live. And we're actually resolving issues, improving city management, new revenue opportunities, citizen engagement, and a number of other services that start to transform. And I'm going to leave this on the screen now that we're done so you can see a contract that was just awarded, which allows us to deploy 300 units at street level, connect every bus, every train, and every train station to ensure real ecosystems in place, providing those services we talked about. It's here. We also have Link NYC and a number of other projects. So Civic has, again, we've looked at delivering an end-to-end solution where we work with the cities and citizens to help support those efforts, but we do have apps that are relevant, very specific apps that have been built over a number of years that help support those. So Civic provides a group of very standardized applications for cities that hit those pressure points between safety, dialogue with the city, City 311, and transportation to start. Average dwell time is about 1.5 to 2 minutes per engagement. We see 2 to 3 services performed during that engagement by a citizen or someone at the device. We're seeing reoccurrence of that engagement frequently. The second piece is what we see immediate results because the engagement becomes infectious. People start to use it and start to continue to use it and start to rely on its use. In New York, we have the fastest Wi-Fi at street level, gigabit Wi-Fi with our Link NYC project. We have over 1,000 units deployed, 7,500 over the course of the next few years, and the engagement is through the roof. Well, in New York, there's 7,500 units being deployed across all 5 boroughs. So we're actually hitting the entire city. So that's one way. And in this case, the deployment, we're saturating the entire city. The other piece is we're creating gigabit Wi-Fi that allow everyone to connect. And maybe if it's not in that specific area, it still provides an umbrella of service for everyone. We've taken that idea to further what you're getting at. And Miami-Dade's a good example. Because we couldn't hit every location, we put it on every bus that drives through every community, providing Wi-Fi, every train, so they're connected. So even if I couldn't get a device in that one community, I knew I could actually connect people and build an experience throughout transportation because it becomes that sort of heartbeat throughout the entire city that allows people to engage, get to work, come home. And we connected them with the same experience to ensure they get the alerts and the services. So you'll see more of that. You'll see more of an ecosystem being built opposed to just a deployment. Well, so far, in most of our deployments, we have 2 different types of models. We have one that's an own network model that costs the city nothing, where it can be applied based on density, population, and services. We also have another one that could be close to no cost based on efficiencies and other services. And of course, the third one, which can happen as well, is the city can just buy the infrastructure. But in most of our deployments, we've been fortunate enough to be able to deploy at no cost, to be able to turn on a city, and then also start to provide new revenue for them within years after the deployment, after we recoup the bulk of that CapEx, And keep in mind, we actually build refresh periods. So the technology and the apps and services throughout the year are being refreshed, the apps and services. And in most cases, the equipment, every 5 years, we're moving out different parts and services to ensure that we're relevant and the equipment stays intelligent.
All right, thank you, George.
Okay.
So your model is as a service?
Do I model? No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Yeah. So we actually supply a SaaS-based modeling. So yes, software as a service as a third option. But in most cases, we've been fortunate enough to be able to deploy at no cost. And that's in New York, Miami-Dade. There's zero cost for any of the CapEx, any of the services. We have units going out with, we launched with Brenna Berman, Miguel in New York, who's been very helpful with all of our stuff, San Francisco, where we're talking about how we're going to deploy this, Dallas, and most of those have been, or all of them have been at no cost.
Thank you, George.
You got it.